Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. As you can see, I'm coming to you from a hotel room in New York City this time around, but I needed to talk to you now because it's important. Couldn't wait for tomorrow. The exit poll shit is happening all over again, where you can see that the exit polls and the machine results are varying, meaning it is showing us fraud. It is showing us fraud in these primaries in one form or another. On Redacted tonight, I already went through how the number of provisional ballots, the number of polling places closed in these various states, Texas and California specifically, were specifically designed, sorry to use specifically twice, right back to back like that. I know that was probably very stressful for you. Anyway, I'll try not to use specifically the word anymore within this specific video. But in those two states, it showed immense suppression and various manipulation of the election in order to stop Bernie Sanders from winning those elections. Now we're seeing the difference between the exit polls and the machine results. So what I'm about to go through is coming to you from TDMS Research, which you can also look up for yourself online, tdmsresearch.com. Basically what they do is they take the exit polls and compare them to the machine results. What we're told is the actual vote in these states. As I mentioned before, there are very few exit polls. Basically, they got rid of most of the exit polls in order to make it more difficult for people like you and me to notice fraud in our primaries, in our general election, because exit polls are recognized worldwide as having legitimacy, as showing what should happen in an election if there's not fraud, okay? They're not some wild thing. They're done well. They're done accurately. In other countries, if they vary by 2%, just 2% compared to the machine results, then people say it's fraudulent and we need a recount, if not an entirely new election. And even our own USAID, which is connected to our CIA, it's basically our pretend humanitarian way of creating coups around the world. Even they say that 2% off for an exit poll points to fraud. And they've funded exit polls in various countries in order to show whether it was a legit election or not. So nowadays, there's really only one company left that does exit polling that is not connected to CNN or Fox News or something. They're called Edison Research. But as their own CEO said in a Washington Post article back in 2016, after they release the initial exit polls, they then alter their exit polls to fit the machine results, which is the opposite of an exit poll. That is a fucked up exit poll. Because if you're taking the unobservable, unaccountable machines and using it to connect, to change the exit polls, then you've taken the fraudulent, possibly fraudulent thing and wiped out the legitimate thing that's supposed to show the fraud. Anyway, when they initially show their exit polling, before they've altered them, before they've adjusted them for machine results, that is the number that TDMS Research grabs and compares it to the machine results. So they're grabbing it before it's been altered. At least that's the goal. And in a couple of states, in this last Super Tuesday, they were able to show that the exit polls are way off from the machine, the unobservable, unaccountable machine results. This is the same shit that happened in 2016. So let me go through a few of the numbers real quick. Let's begin with Massachusetts. The exit polls were very far off from the machine results in Massachusetts, which, as you remember, the polling coming out before Super Tuesday was saying, hey, Bernie Sanders is going to win this thing. Bernie Sanders is going to win Massachusetts. He's going to win Texas. He's going to win a lot of states, if not almost all of them. That's what the polling was showing. And then all of a sudden, there was this crazy shift that showed him losing all these states. Especially when you consider that Joe Biden had like very little ground game, very little money, never appeared in Massachusetts. Then what the fuck happened? Well, here's what happened. When you add up the shift between Joe Biden's exit polls and his machine results and Bernie Sanders' exit polls and his machine results, you get 8.2%. That's the amount of shift. Double the 4% exit poll margin of error. Biden's exit polls showed that he got roughly 388,000 votes in Massachusetts. The machine results showed he got 448,500 votes in Massachusetts. A massive difference, a difference of over 60,000 votes. Bernie Sanders, if you go by what the exit polls were telling us, should have gotten 408,000 thousand votes. These are rough numbers, but close enough. And the computers showed that he got 358,000, a difference of negative 49,000 votes. He lost 49,000 votes in an election, Massachusetts, an election that only had 1,343,000 votes. So this is a huge shift. And if you add up the shift between Sanders and Warren, the amount they lost, it totals 97,000 votes less. And where did those votes go? Mainly to Biden and Bloomberg. So that was a shift of 8.2%. Now here's something interesting. If you look at what happened in 2016, when the exit polls were also off during the primary, how much were they off between Bernie Sanders and Clinton? 8%. Very similar to what we saw this time, which would make sense. If this is a similar amount of fraud, it could be fractional voting, who knows, but it makes sense that these exit polls would be off in a similar amount. So basically, tens of thousands of votes are being shifted from the outside candidate, the anti-establishment candidates, Sanders and to some degree Warren, and shifted to the establishment candidates, Biden and Bloomberg. According to the exit polls in Texas, Sanders and Biden were roughly tied. However, the unobservable, unaccountable machine results show that Biden won by roughly 4.5%. That's double the margin of error. And the discrepancies between Sanders and Bloomberg were 5.4%. Basically, similar to Massachusetts, votes getting shifted from Sanders to Bloomberg and Biden, the two establishment candidates that were still running in Super Tuesday. So basically, if there were a legit election in Texas, it's fairly likely Bernie Sanders would have won or come very close to winning. If there were a legitimate election in Massachusetts, Bernie Sanders would have won. If there were a legitimate election in California, Bernie Sanders would have won by much more than he ended up winning by. Furthermore, Dallas County in Texas has asked for a recount after 10% of the vote was not counted. They found 44 thumb drives with votes on them afterwards, after they'd already reported this shit. Also, back in 2016, Clinton versus Sanders also had a difference between exit polls and machine results, a shift towards the establishment candidate. And here's the thing, if people want to say, well, it's just because, there are discrepancies, there's going to be shifts, who knows, things go wrong. Yeah, but these shifts always go in one direction. They always go towards the establishment. They always go towards the candidate that the corrupt DNC wants to win. And if you're one of these people that goes, well, TDSM Research doesn't matter. These exit polls, they don't matter because they didn't count because they weren't adjusted with the machine results, which shouldn't happen really. But anyway, if you're one of these people that says exit polls don't matter, TDSM says, yeah, they got their head up their ass. Even if you want to say all that, you should still be calling for legitimate elections. You should still be saying, fine, then here is the exit poll data, the raw exit poll data. Here is the open sourced code for these machines that we're supposed to trust. Here is all the information so that we can prove these are the legitimate elections. But we don't see that, do we? We are not told that, are we? We are attacked. We are told these elections are fine and don't ask any more questions about it. If someone told you, oh no, it's all fine, but I'm not going to show you how the fuck it works. I'm not going to show you what's going down. Isn't that a little suspicious? Not to mention the DNC in court, their lawyers in court, in a lawsuit. After the 2016 election, they said that the DNC has the right to rig the primary. It is their right to rig the primary, to put in the candidate they want. So for all we know, that, yeah, these things may be rigged, but they're saying to themselves behind closed doors, well, it's our right to rig it, so why not? We want Biden in there. We don't want Bernie Sanders. We want the corporate candidate. Why not rig it? For all we know, that is their stance, and they're fine with that stance. So fucking become transparent about it. Show it to us. Show us the open source of the machines. Show us the open audit of the machines. Show us the open raw data of the exit polls before they're adjusted to fit the machines. Show us all of that and we will not complain anymore. How does that sound? Instead, we're doing it all over again. This is fucking Groundhog Day. This is Edge of Tomorrow. This is Russian Doll, that Netflix show. Those are all of the movies and shows I can think of where they repeat the same day over and over again. This is exactly what we're doing. We're doing 2016 all over again. Yeah, sure, they replaced Hillary Clinton with Biden. All right, great. but we're doing the same shit. We're allowing it to be rigged, and we're watching them, and they're fucking laughing at us. I'll have more on this on Redacted tonight. I'll also have more detailed, longer explanation on my podcast, Common Censored. You can find that for free wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this is important, please share it, get it out there, let people know that we got to stand up for legitimate elections, because if we don't have that, what the fuck do we have? All right, keep fighting.